Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to an exciting journey that is Mr. President. Last time we were going through Phase 2, I think, so we are at the beginning of Phase 3 now. So, if I remember correctly, we've gotten rid of some Chinese and Russian influence on the board. I think we are looking pretty good in relations with Congress lately, but the bipartisan cooperation is kind of sucking. We did get some opponents in Congress. We got rid of one of them, but we still have two. I think we're still beating them on congressional power, but we are losing on media power. I think our cyber warfare was still below Russia's. We haven't done much with terror groups. That's probably concerning. We are still at war with the Taliban. And going into China's turn, we are pretty high with relations, but relations usually go down pretty quick during China's and Russia's turns. They do have -1 AP, that's good. Still at posture 1, we did get them above 4 in their state of economy, which is good because otherwise they just automatically go to posture 2 if they're at economy 3 or 4. We don't like that. So it's good to pacify them a little bit. Hopefully they won't do anything too extreme. But yeah, so I think what we're going to be looking to do is maybe tame some terror groups a little bit. Especially over here in the Middle East, we've got a level 3 terror group now, so we kind of want to take care of that whenever we can. Public opinion's not bad. We're looking decently good over here. We don't have any legislation placed on our side. Our opponents have some legislation, unfortunately. Hopefully, I think we'll have a legislative segment later on in this phase. So hopefully we can get something on our side put in there. But yeah, I think that is about it. Nothing too crazy has gone on in the conflict tracks over here. Russia's gained some power against NATO, but nothing has really been pushed too crazy high, or at least past their starting points anyway. So yeah, I think like I said, we're going in China. It's going to be their turn. So Russia acted in the first phase, which means China will act in this phase. So we will put that there. We will go to our big stack of booklets and find China's book. Here it is, and we'll see what we got. All right. So first thing we do is we see if China has won the game. China auto victories if they have 15 or more influence on the board. They do not. How much do they have? I forget. I think we've been pretty good at keeping China's influence down, actually. So I think they've only got 4 right now, which in most of my game, which is pretty low compared to most of my other games. Usually China floods the board with influence. But yeah, they're pretty low right now, so I think they are fine. We did not just draw the China Axe Chit. We are in their normal turn. So we are going to look at posture changes and results. So begin by possibly changing China's posture and relationship with the U.S. to determine whether China's posture changes and further effects of accumulated tensions. Flip all tension counters on China, which I don't believe we have any, which is perfect. And let's see. If currently at posture 1 and the sum of the flipped tension counters is 5 or more and relations with US is 1 or 2, increase posture to 2. They also go to posture 2 for a poor economy. If China is at posture 1 and would not otherwise be entitled to increase to posture 2 and their state of economy is 3 or 4, immediately increase them to posture 2. That is not the case. We made sure that would not happen. Let's see, if currently at posture 2, so all these other things are if they're at posture 2, so those don't come into play. Based on the sum of tension values above, China's relationship with the U.S. may be affected as follows. If the sum of counters is 0 through 1, place a trending pro-U.S. counter on the relationship track. Very nice. So we do have a trending pro counter on there. China is currently now at the highest likability with the U.S. that they could possibly be now. That will probably change. At some point. Usually they get a lot of trending anti-U.S. sentiment during their turn. But for now, we are looking good in relations. See, for every increment in 5 in the sum of tension values, place a trending anti-US counter. There are none, so we're good there. Then immediately before performing any actions, remove all tension counters from China and redraw half rounded up. Again, there are no tension counters, so we can skip that for now. After checking for and, if necessary, changing China's posture, then improve China's strategic capabilities. Increase strategic capabilities. Make 2, if currently at posture 1, or 3, if currently at posture 2, attempts to improve China's strategic capabilities according to the priorities below. For each attempt, roll a d10 and subtract 1 if there are any sanction counters in China. There is not. A 1 through 4 result at posture 1 or a 1 through 5 result at posture 2 equals a success. Increase the current capability by 1 box. Use the following hierarchy to determine which areas you will attempt to improve until you have completed all allowed improvement attempts. So they have 2 attempts to increase their capabilities right now. Areas in which China trails the U.S. by 2 or more boxes. Are there any? Let's see here. They trail us by 2 on strategic recon. They trail us by 2 nowhere else. So they will roll for strategic recon / intel gathering. So they're going to roll a d10. They need a 1 through 4 in order to increase their amount. They did not get it, so they do not increase that. I don't believe there are any other spots where they are trailing by 2. Nope, doesn't look like it. So next thing, if you have 2 or more actions left, attempt to increase both cyber warfare and naval forces, training, and tech. If only 1 action remains, choose between them randomly. So we will go odd for cyber warfare and even for naval forces, training, and tech. So odd versus even. Let's see what we get. It is odd. So they are going to roll for cyber warfare. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope they don't get it. That's probably one of the more important capabilities. They did get it. Son of a bitch. Alright, so now we are behind both of them again in cyber warfare, unfortunately. Hopefully we can increase that ourselves. Like I said, I'm going to try to get a DARPA counter on there. That'll take a military action. And that'll give us a roll, like a free roll next turn, to increase capabilities. But that sucks. I was super excited at the beginning of the game because we actually were able to increase our cyber warfare pretty quickly, or pretty early on. I think before the game even started, we were able to do it. And now that has come crashing down. But at least we are not 2 behind them both. That's good. So we can try to get back. Try to catch up on that ground. Let's see here. That is all their attempts for strategic capability increases. So now we move on to espionage. After attempting to improve China's strategic capabilities, then conduct espionage. If China's relations with the U.S. track is at 1 or 2, it's not. We are at the highest track for relations. And posture is at 2. Make 2 espionage attempts to steal from the U.S. and its allies. Otherwise, make 1 espionage attempt. So we have high relations, so they're only trying to commit espionage on us once. For each attempt, apply DRMs below and roll a d10. The DRMs are... let's see here. -1 or 2 if China's cyber warfare strategic capability is 1 or 2 higher than the U.S.'s. So it is. So they are 1 higher than us, so that's going to be a -1 to their roll. -2 if any U.S. ally relationship is currently estranged. It's not. -1 if the U.S. ally relationship with any ally except India or Gulf states is not very close. That is not correct. So still at a net of -1. +1 or 2 if the U.S. cyber warfare strategic capability is 1 or 2 higher, respectively. It's not. +2 if there is a +2 DRM to next espionage counter. Nope. If so, then remove it, blah, blah, blah. +2 if there is a China +2 DRM remainder of the game counter on China. There is not. So looks like we are going to roll a d10 and subtract 1. Fuck. So that's 0. So that is probably good for them. Let's see. Thwart U.S. counterintelligence and steal technology. First, if there is a +2 DRM espionage remainder of the game counter on China, remove it. Then roll a d10 and refer to the random ranges on the strategic capabilities chart. Increase China's capability in that area by 1 box. Okay, so we're just going to roll and increase their strategic capability by 1 box on whatever that roll is, which is 3. That is going to be naval forces. So they are matching us there on naval forces. Okay. Not as bad. I'm glad it was not cyber warfare again. That would have sucked. So that is their espionage attempt. That was pretty good for them. I think so. They only get one, so we are going to move on to improve economy. After performing espionage, then attempt to improve China's economy. Do not perform if China's state of economy is already at 7. It is not. It's at 5. Roll a d10 and then see what that result gets you. 9. Let's see here. Oh, there's also DRMs. +1 if there's a unilateral sanction counter on China. There's not. If there's a multilateral sanction counter, +2. There's not. -1 per China influence counter in Asia and Pacific Central, South Asia, Middle East, and or Africa. A Chinese base counts as 3 influence counters. So we have to check out how many counters we've got in certain regions. Asia and Pacific, there's 1 counter. Central South Asia, there's 1 influence counter. So that's -2. Middle East, there are none. And Africa, there is 1. So that is going to be a -3 DRM so far. -1 or 2 if China's relationship with the U.S. is 4 or 5, respectively. It is at 5, so that's going to be a -2. So that is a -5 DRM. Damn. Okay. Per China influence counter. Yeah. All right. So it's going to be 9 - 5 is going to be 4. Place an improving economy counter on China. So that will increase their economy up to 6. There we go. So calculate number of China actions. After attempting to improve China's economy, then calculate the number of China actions. Use these actions in the following dependent and remaining action hierarchies. China receives a number of actions equal to their current value on the state of economy track +1. So we've got 6 + 1. That's going to be 7. Let's go ahead and there we go. Let's see here. Modify that base number if there are any +1 APs or -1 AP counters currently on China. There is a -1. Then remove those counters from the map. So that is going to take it down to 6. And then we are going to remove that counter. Where are they? Right there. Let's see here. If you rolled a 9+ on your earlier attempt, I wish that 9 we rolled would have stayed. Then they get they lower a action also. Okay, so now we're going to go to their dependent actions. So there are 5 possible dependent actions to do if the conditions are met. The first one is terror in Central South Asia. I don't think this is going to apply. But if there is 5 total terror group levels in Central South Asia region, use one of China's actions to remove 1 terror level from the largest group. Looks like it is. There's only 1 there, right? Yep. Okay, so the total is 3 total terror levels. So that does not qualify. So number 2 is quell rising dissent by addressing internal issues. Roll a d10, adding 1 if China is at posture 2, and subtracting 1 if China is state of economy 6+. So there is going to be a -1 to this roll. So 3 - 1 is going to be 2. 1 through 4, use 1 China action to address massive social and infrastructure costs, smog and environmental issues, internal security, modernizing infrastructure, etc. And I just realized we rolled what we were using to, I think they were at 6, right? There we go. Okay, so they're at 6. So they are going to subtract 1 action to quell rising dissent by addressing internal issues. So they are down to 5. Number 3, reinforcements. If China is at war, spend a China action, then roll a d10. They are not at war. Number 4, reduce sanctions on China. If there are no sanction counters on China, skip this action. There are no sanction counters, so we will skip. Number 5, extra roll progress roll, question mark. If China is at war, they are not, so we will skip that action as well. Okay, so now we have 5 actions. Moving to their remaining action hierarchy. There's 10 spots here. First one is going to be cyber attacks, which is going to cost 1 action when we do that. Make 1 attack if at posture 1, 2 attacks if at posture 2, so they're at posture 1. If blah 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 blah, crisis shit, blah blah blah. For each attack, roll a d10 to determine the target, then another d10 to resolve the attacks on the chart to the right. So we will roll a d10 to determine the target. 10. Target is going to target Japan or Republic of Korea. Then we are going to roll to see how much of a success it is. So China's cyber strategic capability is greater than the U.S., so they have a better chance to get a major success. Is greater, is equal, and less than. Okay, yep, so they have a better chance of getting a success here. It's going to be a 5, so that is going to be a normal success. So success will decrease the ally relationship for either Japan or the Republic of Korea by 1 level. So we roll a die to see which one that affects. A 1 is going to affect Japan, so Japan's ally level goes down. That's too bad. Hopefully we can get that back up pretty quickly. I can't remember if they have gone yet or not. I'm going to have to check which allies have gone so far. Okay, so 2 attacks if at posture 2, 1 attack if at posture 1. Okay, so that was their 1 cyber attack. They made Japan like us less. That was one of their actions, so they go down to 4. Next action is called One Belt, One Road. Place a trending anti-U.S. counter on China's relations with the U.S. track. So just straight up lower relations with China. We were at the highest, though. Then perform the following steps using this list of Belt and Road regions: Asia Pacific, Central South Asia, Middle East, Africa, Eastern Europe, and Eurozone. So number 1, count the number of Belt and Road regions that have either 3 China influence counters or a China base. There are 0. If there are 0 through 1 such regions, perform option A, otherwise perform your choice of one of A or B. So we will be performing option A, which is place 1 China influence counter in the 2 Belt and Road regions where China has the fewest influence counters. Break ties in the order the Belt and Road regions listed above. So those regions are Asia Pacific, which already has a counter. Let's see here. Asia Pacific, Central South Asia, which already has a counter. Central South Asia, Middle East, which all does not have a counter, so they will get a counter. Let's see here. Middle East, Africa already has a counter. Eastern Europe, which does not. So they will get one as well. Put that over here. Actually, put this over here. Put that right there. Let's put that over here. And that over here. Okay. Got him. Okay. So place 1 influence counter in the 2 Belt and Road regions where China has the fewest influence counters in the order listed above. That is done. Regardless of which option you choose, immediately place 2 tension counters on China and 1 tension counter on Japan, India, Australia, South Korea, Gulf States, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. Goddamn. All right. So 2 tension counters on China. Two tension counters are now on China. 1 tension counter on each of Japan. India. Let's see, India, Australia. South Korea. Gulf States, Saudi Arabia. And Russia. So tensions all around. I don't like that one. All right. So that was another action. They are down to 3 actions left. Let's see what our next one is. Number 3, expand China's influence in neighboring regions. Attempt to expand China's influence in one region. Attempt in the first region where the conditions are met. If no regional conditions are met, skip this action. If any regions have 3 or more Chinese influence counters, create a China base. No regions currently have 3 influence counters. So B, expand Chinese influence. Make 1 roll, see below, on the first region specified by the following conditions. Attempt to expand Chinese influence in Asia Pacific if there is 0 through 1 Chinese influence counters and no base in Asia, which is correct. Or 2 China influence counters and no base in Asia Pacific, and 1 Chinese influence counter in Central South Asia. Attempt to expand Chinese influence. Okay, blah, 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 blah. So we will be attempting to expand influence in Asia Pacific. Roll D10 and add the selected region's U.S. regional alignment. So regional alignment here is 6. So we are going to roll a D10 and add 6 to it. 4 add 6 is 10. On a result of 10 or less, place one China influence counter in the selected region. Any other result has no effect. Ah, we were one off. So we do place a Chinese influence counter in the region, unfortunately. That will be one of their actions. They have 2 left. Let's see. Any other region has no effect. If that region was Central South Asia, it wasn't. Blah, blah, blah. Alright, moving on. Reinforce allies, build military, use force. Attempt the first 2 options where conditions are met. If less than 2 options apply, perform only those which apply. If none apply, skip this action. A. If China has a relative strength on the China-Japan or India-China conflict track that is equal to or lower than either Japan or India, build China's military strength. Alright, so China, it is in favor of China in the China-Japan conflict. Where's the other one? China, India. It is also in China's favor currently, +1 in the India-China conflict, so that does not occur. Let's see if China has a relative strength on those that is equal to or lower than, build China's military strength. If Pakistan is at war with India, perform the first action specified by these conditions. That's not true. So C. If the India-Pakistan conflict track is 3 or higher, it is not. So nothing there applied, so we skip that action. So moving on to 5. Secure the sea lanes. If there are at least 2 China influence counters or a China base in Asia Pacific, roll a d10 and add 1 if China's posture is 2. So there are 2 counters right there. So we're going to roll a die. Their posture is not 2, so we will not add. So just roll 1d10. We got a 5. 1 through 6. Build or enhance mining, drilling, and military outposts in South China Sea. Place a trending anti-U.S. counter on China's relationship with the U.S. track. Where was that? So flip that over into trending anti-U.S. And add 1 tension counter to each of China. God damn it. Japan. Australia, and South Korea. Add 1 China influence to Asia Pacific. Goddamn. So this is what I was telling you about. China just kind of expands influence all over the board on their turn. U.S. may immediately make 1 free attempt to impose unilateral or multilateral sanctions on China, as per Diplomatic Master Action number 7 on the Diplomatic Master Action Player Guide. So let's check that out. What is that? As per Diplomatic Master Action number 7. Diplomatic Action number 7, which says attempt to impose sanctions. So we can just do a free attempt to impose sanctions. See, choose target country, blah, 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 type of sanction. Targeted country, you may not already have sanctions of that type. If you may not attempt sanctions against Russia or China, if they're blah, 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 blah. Okay, so unilateral sanction, we get a success on 1 through 7. Otherwise, no effect. If successful, place a sanction counter on the target. And a trending anti-U.S. counter on their relationship track. If we want to do multilateral sanctions, success is 1 through 4. Let's go ahead and try just a unilateral sanction. That should be fine. We will lower our relation, but it's already pretty high. That's fine. 9, so that did not pass. So nothing happens there. Okay. We do not get to impose sanctions. Oh wait, I think there's DRMs. So that would be 9. Let's see, DRMs, -1 if there's at least 2 tension counters on the target country. So there is, so that would be a -1. -1 diplomatic rating of Secretary of State, which is going to be 2. So that is a net of -3. -1 if you spend 1 AP, we didn't. -1 if relations with Congress is 7 or greater, it is. So that is net of -4. +1 if relations with Congress 4 or less, +2 if the target is China, so that's net of -2. So 9 minus 2 actually is 7, so that will actually pass. All right, so success on a modified roll of 1 through 7. Otherwise, no effect. If successful, place unilateral sanction and a trending anti-U.S. counter on the track. So they have a unilateral sanction and an anti-U.S. counter. All right. And that will be it for that action. So they have one action remaining, which is going to be attempt to expand China's influence in Central and South America. Make one roll, see below, on the first region specified in the following conditions. Attempt to expand Chinese influence in Central America if its regional alignment is less than 7, which I think it is. So Central America alignment is 5, which is less than 7. And there are 0 to 2 China influence counters in Central America. And that is also correct. So we will attempt to expand in Central America. So roll a d10, add the selected region's U.S. regional alignment, which is a 5, so we're going to roll a d10 plus 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. Let's see, on a result of 10 or less, place an influence counter. I missed it by 1 again. So we put China influence counter there. All right, and I think that is the extent of China's actions. If you have no China actions left, you have completed the China Act segment. Return to the turn sequence. So that could have been better. A lot of tension out there. Our relations went down a box. Lots of influence, which is not good. Fortunately, we'll have some time to remove that before they get to act again. The main thing we want to avoid is if there are 3 influence counters, especially in Asia and Pacific, they can just make a base, which is a permanent 3 influence counters, which is not good. We don't like it. So we will try to avoid that as much as possible. I think the next time we can perform any actions or any diplomatic actions, we will probably be trying to remove that. I think that is about it. So we are going to... What are we going to do next? So that was China Acts. We get any 3 actions now. And just like I said, one of those actions is going to be trying to remove influence. Because they got a lot of influence. Oh, we should probably count the amount of influence they've got now, actually. So if they have 15 and they go into their turn, they will just automatically win. So we need to avoid that if at all possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not good. All right, so they went from 4 to 9 influence. So that was pretty good on their turn. Now we have any 3 actions. First one straight up is just going to attempt to remove Chinese or Russian influence counters in one region. So regional alignment is 6. So we can target them since their crisis level is at 0. And we will go ahead and do that. Let's see here. So we need no DRMs. We need a 1 through 6 to be successful. And that is a 1, so that is successful. So we will remove 1 Chinese influence. Unfortunately, we can only do that once per activation segment, so we won't be able to do it on this same 3 actions. So we have 2 actions left. What other actions do we want to do now? What are we worried about? I wouldn't mind if this went up. That does cost an AP, though. We are very low on APs, and we have the entire phase and another phase to go. So I might not... maybe if we get more APs at some point this turn, but they're kind of... I want to save them in case we need to spend them for rerolls. or in case we get like a crisis card that requires us to spend them. Otherwise, bad things will happen. So let's see here. Terror groups, we could stand to beat some terror groups. Maybe we should do that. What else is there? We can't remove influence anymore. Make a trade agreement. We could... Let's see. Moving that is actually what costs an AP. Could we try to dissuade congressional opponents? That has an optional cost of an AP. So there, we'd be getting rid of the only moderate, but I want to get rid of that media rating. So we might actually do that. Let's dissuade congressional opponent. Once per activation segment. One action, optional cost of 1 AP. We will, I guess, just avoid that optional cost. We'll leave it in our back pocket in case we need to reroll. So, -1 if public approval is 60% or greater, it's not. -1 if you spent 1 AP, I didn't. -1 domestic rating of VP or Chief of Staff, which is currently 1 for both of them, I believe. Yes, so it's just going to be a -1. +1 if opponent's legislative rating is 2 or 3, it's not. +1 if relations with Congress is less than 4, it's not. So it's going to be a D6 -1. That is not going to cut it. Let's spend that AP to re-roll. That's also not going to cut it. And we have to stick with that second one. So that sucks. Alright, so that took an action. Didn't accomplish much. Do we want to track terror targets? Oh, we have... I forgot. We had a domestic crisis over here. Let's go ahead and do that, I think. Yeah, let's attack that. Alright. So last action here, address a domestic crisis. Make a cabinet effectiveness check. Our DRMs are going to be -1. Let's see if you have domestic focus attribute. We don't. -1 if address domestic crisis is number 1 POTUS cabinet focus. It is, so we're going to get a -1 for that. -1 if public approval is 60% or higher. It's not. -1 vice president's or chief of staff's domestic rating, so that'll be a -1. A net of -2 currently. Plus number DRM from current box on the LDI track, which is 0 over there. So we are going to roll a D10 -2. 3 -2, that is going to do it. We got a pass, decrease domestic crisis track by 1 box, +1 public approval. Nice. So we are getting close to that magical 60% marker, which gives us some good DRMs on some rolls. But that was our last action in this segment. So now we are going to draw a crisis chit. Let's see what we get. NSA, 2 cards. I forget what that does. Let's go ahead and check that out in here. Whoops. NSA 2. So draw the top 2 crisis cards from the deck, choose one or remove it permanently from the game. That's nice. Reflecting the NSA Intercept Intel's early warning that has allowed you to avert the crisis on the card. Oh, excuse me. Place the other in the reshuffle pile. Not bad. All right. So we are going to draw the top 2, take a peek at them, remove one from the game, and then put the other in the reshuffle pile. Iran detains oil tankers in the Persian Gulf. Place 2 tension counters on Iran. Gulf State Saudi Arabia and 1 tension counter on China. Then choose either and make one blah 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 blah. Launch a special operation to free the tankers. A bunch of stuff. Other one is Russia uses oil as a weapon in Europe. So threats, place 1 tension counter on Russia, then roll a d10. Eastern Europe, +1 regional crisis there. Place a Russian influence counter. +1 to regional crisis there. Jeez, okay. Supply cuts, Eastern Europe, same. Otherwise, ignore the events. Cascading event. So this one could pop up over and over. The other one's just a one-time thing. I think we're going to get rid of this one permanently. So we're going to pop that over there. And we will put this back in the reshuffle pile. All right. And that chit did have a plus sign, so we will draw another one as we go down. This one is going to be draw 2 crisis cards. So first one, and second one. Let's see what we got. Terrorism event. Public targets. Place a level 2 terror group and +1 regional crisis in Eurozone. Came out of the crisis deck, so that will be the thing. Was it level 2? Yeah, level 2 terror group in Eurozone. Not good. And +1 regional crisis. Ew, that's gross. Eurozone's getting up there. We'll have to lower that as soon as we can. Then it goes... So this is a cascading terror event. Next would be economic targets. If there's no terror groups in the Eurozone, ignore this event. So it would be good to get those terror groups out of the Eurozone, because then we could just avoid this card later on. So that might be one of our goals. Next one is street battles rage in Caracas as political opposition arms and engages. So immediate. +1 regional crisis in South America. Roll a d10 and subtract either your Secretary of State's diplomatic rating or your Secretary of Defense's defense rating. So I think we'll use the Secretary of State's diplomatic rating at a -2. So that will be... Let's see, I think if you use Secretary of Defense, trending anti... Yeah, so I think it's usually better anyway if you use Secretary of State. That will usually have a better... better feeling towards the U.S. if we use Secretary of State instead of the Secretary of Defense. So, we will roll a d10, subtract 2, and see what we get. 3 minus 2 is 1, so 2 or less. U.S. Broker's Power Sharing Plan. Place a trending pro-U.S. counter in both Central and South America. U.S. gains 1 goodwill counter. Nice. That did not turn out so bad. So both these places will get counters. Stability. Put a trending pro-U.S. counter. Same deal here. Counter, put it there, and there we go. Nice. And we get a UN Goodwill counter, which will come in handy later. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. It goes in discard. Cool. Alright, and that did not have a plus sign, so we will not draw another chit, and we will just move on to the next segment, which is going to be Ally Rogues. The next Ally Rogue group to go is going to be Group C. Go to my pile of charts here. Ally and Rogue States, we've got it. And we are going to Group C, which is going to be Australia, Israel, India, and Rogue States. Alright, so... These allies act only in their region. When it's this ally group's turn to act first, we activate Australia. If they are very close, so they will get 2 joint actions. Joint actions are the same as all of our other ones that we've done. We are going to attempt stability. So that's usually what I go for first to try to... The higher the stability in a region, usually the better it is. So... We will attempt there, make a stability roll, and let's see, that is going to be -1 DRM if regional crises is at 0. It is, so we're going to get a -1 to the roll, and we need a modified roll of 1 through 4. And that is a 1 through 4. Actually, it's a 0, so not actually 1 through 4, but I think it still counts. So we will raise stability by 1 box. And it is now at max stability. Perfect. Let's see here. I don't think... let's see here. We have the option of removing stress for a second joint action, which I don't think it really matters for Australia that much if they have much stress. I don't think having a high roll for Australia in their unilateral action roll is that bad. So I think we are going to attempt to request UN humanitarian aid in any region, and we're going to attempt that for the Eurozone. Eurozone needs that. So we will need a D10 and a roll of 1 through 8 to be successful. And that is a 5, so that is successful. Decrease regional crisis in the chosen region by 1 box. Nice. Alright, that's the amount, or that is all of Australia's joint actions. We will make a unilateral action roll, so we will have to flip over their tensions. So a total of plus 1. So we will go to the DRMs. -1 if no tension counters on Australia, not true. +1 per tension value on Australia, which is 1. +1 per level 3 or 4 terror group in Asia Pacific, there are none. +1 if 3 tension counters are on China, there are. So it's going to be a +1 net of +2. +1 per current ward, including the U.S. forces, which is 1. So it's going to be a net of +3. So D10 +3. 1 + 3 is going to be 4. Stabilize, -1 to regional crises, which is already at 0. Okay. Yay! Kind of a waste. I would have actually liked that to have been a little higher, because then we could have reduced a terror group by 1 level. But, is what it is. So now we are going to flip these back over, put them into the tension box, draw half rounded down, which is going to be 1, and put that on Australia. And that is it for Australia. We are moving on to Israel. Let's see here. So same deal. Israel is a very close ally. We are going to start with stabilizing. So, oh, nice. Regional crises is at 0, so we will get a -1 on that roll as well. So we need a modified roll of 1 through 4. That did not do it, so that's a 7. We did not stabilize, unfortunately. That would have been a nice stabilization. Next thing to do, I think, is going to be intel. So we get an auto success, locate any terror group in the region, choose terror group, then place group in the gather intel box in the region, or if they were already on the intel track, move the group to the next box on the intel track. Israel gets 2 intel successes per joint action. And from what I understand, that means you get to do 2 groups, move them 1 level, and it's not move 1 group 2 levels, unfortunately. So I think we're going to move this over here and move this over here. So since we have our Air Force token over here, we are actually able to make airstrikes on these terror groups in this box. Normally you want them in targeting so that you can do special operations to attack them. But since we have an Air Force token, if you don't have an Air Force token, you use a drone, which is less successful or less powerful, but Air Force usually takes care of them decently well from what my experience anyway. So I think we're good with that. We also got that level 3 terror group on the intel track, which is good. We can start moving them up too. So let's see, we attempted to stabilize, we did intel. We're good there. Now we are going to do a unilateral action roll for Israel. They do not have any tensions. So, -1 if no tension counters on Israel, so we got a -1. +1 per tension value on Israel, which is nothing. +1 per Iran influence counter adjacent to Israel, there's none. +1 if rogue state in the Middle East, there isn't. +1 half rounded up the status value of the Iranian nuclear missile program. Which is 2, so half of that would be 1. So we've got a net DRM currently of, let's see, we had a -1, this will be a +1, so net of 0 currently. Half rounded down the current status value of Israel-Iran conflict track, half rounded down. Where is that? Israel-Iran right here. So it's going to be a +1, we've got a net of +1 so far. +2 if Israel's at war or Middle East rogue has WMDs. They don't, so we're going to do a D10 +1. 10. Shit. Okay. So 11. We are going to do a cyber attack versus Iran. See World Chart WM3. Cyber attacks versus Iran. Roll D10, 1 through 6 versus critical government infrastructure, 7+ versus nuke track. So we are going to roll to see what part of Iran we make a cyber attack for. It's going to be critical government infrastructure. And we got to go to our world charts to locate our cyber attack chart. Alright, cyber attacks. We are going after Iranian critical military and government infrastructure. Okay, so we are going to roll, let's see, to perform a cyber attack, choose your target, then roll D10, and modify by DRMs at the bottom of the table. Refer to results column, then roll again to determine potential response to the attack. Alright, so let's see what DRMs we have. Let's see, plus number up to +3 to match the difference if Russia or China has a greater cyber strategic capability than the US. They both have +1 on me, so it will be a +1 to start with. Minus number up to 3 to match the difference if US has a greater cyber strategic capability. We don't. -1 if attacking against North Korea, Iran, or rogue state. So we are attacking against Iran, so we've got a net DRM of 0. -1 if this is a joint attack with an ally. -2 instead if the ally is Israel, or if Israel is attacking alone. So it is Israel, so it will be a -2. So net DRM of -2. So D10 -2. Let the cyber attack begin. 10 -2, 8. No effect. Alright. So now we will check out the reaction. 3. 3 through 6. Iran incensed but uncertain. They think they know that you or Israel did it, but have no proof. +1 tension on both Iran and Israel. +1 on Iran, +1 on Israel. Which is funny because we're going to actually be removing tension counters from Israel at the end of their action and replacing with half rounded down. So if we don't get any more, that will actually just get removed. So let's see here. +1 tension counters on both Iran and Israel. Roll a D10. 7. Iran increases subversion efforts in Middle East as a result. Increase 1 level 1, 2, or 3 in that priority terror group in the Middle East. So we are going to increase this to a level 2 terror group. That didn't work out very well. Close. And decrease. So if we had gotten a little better, we could have decreased some terror groups. We could have done some stuff with the conflict track. Didn't work out though. So basically all we did is nothing, and then we increased the terror group. So could have been worse though too. Let's see here. So that was Israel's full turn. So we are going to remove all the tension counters on them and replace with half rounded down, which is 0. Next will be India. And did we? Yes, we are very close with India now. So that is good. So we will get 2 joint actions with India. And first things first, we are going to attempt to stabilize the region. That's going to be a 1 through 4. Unfortunately, the crisis level is not at 0, so we don't get a DRM. Let's see if we can stabilize the region. 9 is not 1 through 4, so that is a negative. Next, what do we want to do? India does have a lot of tension counters. This might not be a bad spot to remove stress. If India has a high stress level or high tension level, they do tend to be a little more aggressive. Let's see here. We could do a UN thing, but no crisis levels are... I wouldn't mind lowering Eurozone's crisis level again, but nothing is like critical right now, so... if the Allies involved in a war, they're not... No, I think we're just going to remove stress. Why not? So we remove up to 2 tension counters. Is that just 1? Yeah, okay. Oh, I guess there was only 2 on there? Ah, whatever. Clown is down. We removed some tension levels. So now we will move to their unilateral action. So -1 if no tension counters on India, which is correct. +1 per tension value on India is nothing. So we're at a -1 so far. +1 per level 3 or 4 terror group or any level rogue state in Central South Asia. So there's 1 rogue state. So far we have a net 0 of DRMs. +1 if India-China conflict status is greater than 2 on the conflict track. I don't think it is. Let me double check though. India-China is at 1 on the conflict track, so that is not up. Excuse me. +1 if India-Pakistan conflict status is greater than 2. India-Pakistan conflict is at 2, so it is not greater than 2. So I believe that is going to be a net of 0 modifier on the roll. Let's see what we get. 6. Anti-terror campaign. Reduce 1 level 1, 2, or 3 terror group by 1 level. So reduce 1 level 1, 2, or 3 terror group in Central South Asia by 1 level. So that means we could reduce this to a level 1 terror group, and I don't think that's too bad of an idea. Cool. Cool. Alright, that is it for India. They don't have any tension counters on them, so we're good to move on to rogue states. Alright, so after Australia, Israel, and India activates, go to the rogue state actions section to determine what action each game-created rogue state performs immediately. Note if there are no game-created rogue state counters on the map, skip this step. So we do have the Taliban on the board. So let's see what we get. Perform the process below for each rogue state counter on the map. If level 1 or 2 rogue state is at war, do only A. So they are at war, so we're only going to do A. I just roll a d10 and check the chart. 5. So 3 through 8, +1 strength to their war. So they're going to go to 9. Also, if the current war type is combined air-ground and the rogue state is not winning, which they are not, roll a d10 on a 1 through 5, change conflict type to guerrilla war. We do not want that, so we hope they do not roll a 1 through 5. And that's a 10. Good, okay, so it does not go to guerrilla war. And that is it for rogue states. Final action, check unstable states. Roll a d10 once for each unstable state counter in the Middle East and Africa. Middle East has 2, so let's check what we got there. So first one, 3, remove unstable state. Nice. Second one, 8. Keep unstable state on map. Alright, next one is Africa. So there are also 2 in Africa. Let's see what we get for those. First one, 4. Keep unstable state on the map. Second one, 8. Keep unstable state on the map. And that will end our ally and rogue state actions. Now we have POTUS and cabinet focuses. Alright, so we do have a tension counter on our public press relations, so we do not actually do that one. So we will start with the 5th in order, which is Homeland Security. So we need a 1 through 2 in order for this to be successful. It's a 6, definitely not. Now we're moving on to 4, improve relations with Congress. We need a 1 through 3. That's a 3. Where were we? Improving relations with Congress. Improve relations with Congress by 1 box. Nice. We are at max possible relations with Congress. Nice. I did not expect that. We started, or I guess we were at like 3 or 4 earlier on in this turn. Was not looking good, and now we are at max relations. That's nice. So that was number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is the economy. Also need a 1 through 3. 4, that's not going to do it. Moving down to 2, which is cabinet effectiveness. We need a 1 through 4. Nope. Now we need address domestic crisis, 1 through 5. 3. That does work. So -1 domestic crisis. Maybe we shouldn't have used that action to move that. But I guess this does give us some APs. So if it already at 0 plus 2 presidential APs. So that's not bad. I will take that as well. And that is it for that box. So next one is going to be -1 media relations, as it is now neutral. 2 domestic actions. Okay. So, let's see. We tried to get rid of this guy before. I think we can probably do that again. That'll help our... what's the legislative action, which I think is next, right? Yeah, then we have the legislative segment. So domestic actions. Let's go ahead and discredit, dissuade congressional opponent. So, public approval is not at 60 yet, so we do not get a -1. -1 if you spent 1 AP. I don't think we will. -1 domestic rating of VP or Chief of Staff, which is going to be -1. +1 if the opponent's legislative rating is 2 or 3. It's not. +1 if relations with Congress is -4. We are at max relations, so that is not true. So we are going to just get a D6 -1. 2 -1, that is going to work. So success, place the opponent back in the draw cup. So unfortunately we're getting rid of a moderate, but he also has a media relations of 2, which is not good. So we are now beating our opponents in media and in congressional power. So we are good there. I think we have 1 more action left, 1 more domestic action. We could try to lower this lingering domestic crisis. That would be nice. We don't have any terror groups. We could... Oh, wait. I think... I actually forgot. Where are we at? Drawn crisis chip, performed 3 domestic, blah, 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 blah. I think we're further than that. I think we actually remove a tension counter already. Perform 3 domestic actions. Where am I looking? Rogue. POTUS cabinet. Yeah, here we go. So 2 tension counters anytime the game is structurally placed, blah, 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 blah. POTUS cabinet focus. If the result is tension counters. If all 6 domestic action number 6 allows you to see tension counters. At the end of this activation segment, remove 1 tension counter from the highest priority that has 1. So we do get rid of this tension counter after that. Perfect. Okay, we almost forgot that. So back to domestic actions. We have 1 domestic action left. Stimulate economy. Economy is already really good. Address domestic crisis, which is at 0 currently. Lingering domestic crisis. So what would our DRMs for that be? -1 if address domestic crisis is number 1 POTUS cabinet focus. It is. -1 if you have domestic focus attribute. We don't. -1 if public approval is 60% or higher. It's not. +2 to all rolls. So that would be a net DRM of +1. We would roll a D10 and we would need a modified roll of 5 or more. So we would need a 1 through 4. It would be a success. I think we need to get our public approval up to 60 before we actually do that. I don't know. But what else would we do, though, for domestic? Party fundraising and support. Tension counters. Encouraged by partisanship. We should probably do that. I think that's the key. Even though we have to spend an AP, we got some more. So we will spend an AP. 1 action plus 1 AP. -1 DRM if you have the moderate influenced attribute. We don't. So we are going to need a 2 or less. Let's see if we can get it on the first roll. No. Let's try to reroll. No. Unfortunate. So no effect. Boo. Okay. Yep, that's it then. Legislative segment. Let's check the chart. All right. Determine support, opposition to pending bills. So total separately the sum of the legislative rating of all your friends versus your opponents. So we have a legislative rating of 4 minus 1, so that'll be 3. 3 on our side. Friends then subtract the total rating of congressional opponents. Treat results greater than 3 or less than 3 as 3 or minus 3 respectively. If the result is positive, you may move that number of bills. So there's only one bill, so we can move 3 bills, but there's only one. One box in either direction on the pending bills track, thus increasing or diminishing their support in Congress. So obviously we will move our opponent's bill, decrease support with that. If the result is negative, blah, 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 we will move opponent's bills, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Attempt to pass pending bills. If no pending bills, skip the step. Let's see, the number of on the current box of the bipartisan cooperation section, which is 1, is the number of bills you must now attempt to pass. If you control both houses of Congress, if your opponents control both houses of Congress, make the attempt for opponents' legislation that are furthest left in the pending bills. If control split, roll d6 to see who chooses the first bill to pass. There's only one bill, so it's going to be that one. To attempt to pass bill, roll d6 and apply the DRM from the pending box, which is going to be a +1. So d6 plus 1 to see if we pass that bill. 6. That does not pass. On a modified result of 1 through 3, the bill is passed. It is sent to you to sign or veto. It did not pass. Add legislative friends or opponents, blah, 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 blah. How the sausage is made. Roll a d6. Refer to the Congressional Maneuvering and Drama table on d6. So we will need our domestic booklet. Let me grab that. If I can find it. Domestic charts. Here we go. Looking for D6. Congressional Maneuvering and Drama. Let's see what we've got for DRMs. -1 if bipartisan cooperation is in the rightmost box. It's not. +1 if bipartisan cooperation is in either of the 2 leftmost boxes. It is, so we've got a +1. -1 if relationship with Congress is 7 or greater. It is, so we've got a net of 0. +2 if relationship with Congress is currently 3 or less. -1 if public approval is greater than 60%. It's not. +2 if public approval is less than 30%. It's not. -1 if friends outnumber opponents. We do, so we got a -1 there. +1 if opponents outnumber friends. +2 if this is the second rule on the step due to bipartisan cooperative being in the leftmost box. It's not. So we're going to roll a d6 -1 and see what we get. And we super focused, super zoomed in. Let's see. All right. So d6 -1. 3. Congressional agenda. Add a new bill, matching the highest public priority that isn't already in the pending bills area to the 0 box as opponent's legislation. If the bill is one of your administration's 3 priorities +2 APs. So energy independence is the top one, so we add that, unfortunately, as an opponent's bill. That sucks. Let's see here. If the bill's one of your administration's 3 priorities, +2 APs, it's not. If all public priority bills are already in the pending bills area, move 1 opponent legislation left 1 box. Alright, so an opponent's bill just got a free pop into there. That sucks. Introduce new bills. Remove all bills currently in the cannot be passed box. There aren't any. Hopefully this will be there soon. And place them in the unused bills box. You may now voluntarily remove your bills, which we don't have any to remove. We are going to roll a die. Congress is split, so even we get to choose a legislative priority or a bill to go in there. Odd, our opponents choose. So we will roll a die. Even us, odd opponent. Even us. Perfect. Okay, so we got energy independence and tax reform already in there. So we are going to put a job creation package in there, which is our number 2 priority. Let's see. Job creation. Where is that going to be? NASA. Nope. Privacy. Education reform. Homeland security. Job creation package. There it is. So we have 1 bill. Opponents have 2 bills pending, so that's unfortunate. Hopefully we can get ours up there and get our opponents down, though. Let's see here. Place the bill or bills in your opponent, blah, blah, blah. Determine media result. Then compare the media ratings of all friends and opponents. Then move public approval that number of boxes with a max of 3 boxes. So we have a media rating in our favor of 1. Our opponents no longer have any media rating, so we will get a public approval of 1. There we go. Scandal investigation. We don't have any scandals currently. Just bipartisan cooperation. Examine all the friends and opponents. If there are more moderates than radicals, move cooperation right. If there are more radicals than moderates, move cooperation left. There are more radicals than moderates, so cooperation is going to go down. I have a feeling cooperation is going to be just in the garbage dumpster for a while. We have 3 radicals on the board, 2 of them being our congressional friends. Legislative momentum. Perform 1 immediate free action of any type for each of your bills that were passed. So none of them were passed. So I believe that is it for the legislative segment. Now we are going to draw a crisis chit. Good times! Let the good times roll. I think this is going to be usually... So this is always a good thing. That's like the one... actually, the NSA is also a good crisis chit. So 1 of 2 good crisis chits we just got pulled. So nice. Roll a d10 on the good times table. D15 on the domestic charts booklet. It's good to be the president. So D15 is the chart we're looking for. The good times table. Love it. Roll a d10. Onto the good times table. It is 6. Let's see what we get. Make a surprise visit to deployed troops. Speak to the troops and thank them for their patriotism and sacrifice. Afterwards, shake every hand and speak to each soldier. Look them in the eye as you tell them how much you and the nation appreciate their service. Share a meal with the troops. Then meet with their leaders to listen to their situation briefings. Ask informed questions and listen to their ideas, concerns, and suggestions. Remind them that they are the finest that America has to offer, and they have your full and unwavering support. +1 action in the next activation segment that allows a military action. Place a +1 AP marker on that segment as a reminder. What segment has a military action coming up? Any 4 domestic or military? So we will get a extra military action there. Where were we? So place a +1 AP marker in that segment as a reminder. +1 public approval. Okay, not bad. A lot of other ones have like get another attribute, which is nice. This does help though. So we'll get an extra military action. Maybe we can actually use that to get that DARPA token I've been talking about. Let's see here. +1 public approval, place 1 action that allows it, and +1 public approval. Yep, so that is it. We made a surprise visit to the troops. We will get an extra military action, and we got a public approval. Getting closer to that magical 60 number. And that is it for the good times. Let the good times roll. So focus national intelligence. Let's see here. Okay, collection counter represents. So roll the focus national collection table for each region that has an FNI counter, which I believe is the Middle East and Central South Asia. We have 2 of them because our cyber capability was equal to Russia and China. Hopefully we can increase that again, otherwise we are going to lose one of these tokens, I think, at the beginning of the next turn. So we will start with the Middle East. We are going to roll. We got DRMs. -1 of strategic recon. Intel gathering strategic capability is higher than both Russia's and China's, which I think it is. It is, yes. So we're going to get a -1 there. -1 of cyber warfare strategic capability is higher than both Russia and China's. That's not true. +1 if either Russia or China has an influence counter in the region and their cyber strategic capability is greater than the U.S. So that is true. So that's going to be a net of 0 modifier. So just roll d10. 1. Nice. Effects on terrorism. Move a level 3, 2, 1 in that priority terror group in the region to the targeting box. If there are any remaining terror groups in that region that are not in one of the intel boxes, which there is, move a level 3, 2, 1 in that priority terror group in the region to the gathering box. Nice. Alright, so this goes to targeting. This goes to gathering. Effects on war, choose 1. Pre-war intel, if you go to war with one of your military actions in this segment or action phase, you receive an additional -1 surprise bonus to the initial war progress roll. Or if US or US ally is currently involved in war in the region, add 2 strength. There's not. Or if there's a civil war in the region, there is a ceasefire. So I think that still counts as a civil war. You may choose to share intel with the UN in order to get them to intervene, make an immediate broker peace talks, roll on the UN for the chosen civil war with an overall DRM of -2. Chart WM4 in the World Charts booklet. Let's check that out. So they usually differentiate between civil war or ceasefire civil war. I think they're both considered a civil war still, even if it is a ceasefire. So if they don't clarify non-ceasefire civil war, I think it's still a civil war. So, if there's a civil war in the region, we are looking for WM4. WM4. Civil War Resolution Broker Peace Chart, and we get a -2 DRM. So, +1 we just... Okay, there are some other DRMs. -1 of UN action, it's not... -2 ceasefire column if there's a UN regional peacekeeper counter under the Civil War ceasefire. There isn't. We do get that -2 DRM in by default though. +1 if regional stability is greater than 5. It is at 5. +1 if there is an Iranian influence counter beneath it. There is not. So we are going to get a -2. So just straight up -2. D10 -2. It's going to be 4 -2 is 2. So 2 or less on the ceasefire. Permanent peace. Remove Civil War ceasefire counter and any UN peacekeepers or remaining influence counters if present. Decrease regional crisis by 1 box, which is already at 0, so that's unfortunate. But the Civil War goes away. Very nice. Alright, perfect. So now we are going to roll for Central South Asia. And there is influence here, so we are going to get the -1 and a +1, so that's going to be a net of 0, so we're just going to roll D10. 3. Effects on terrorism. Move a level 3, 2, or 1 in that priority terror group in the region to the locating box. Boop. Locating box, then move a different level 3, 2, 1 in that priority terror group in the region to the gathering intel box. Oh, sorry. To the locating box. This was in the locating box. There's nothing else there, so we do not put anything into the gathering intel. Effects on war, choose 1. If US or US ally involved in a war in the region, add 1 strength to your side in the war. If there's a civil war in the region, so we get to choose 1, we will do that. We will gain 1 strength. 4 there. And I think that's it. So now we have any 4 diplomatic or military actions. Let's go ahead and use that extra military action right away. So what do we want to do with that military action? That DARPA, I think. Let's get that DARPA counter before I forget. Military. Alright. Request rapid capabilities. Why? Improve your strategic position and capabilities in the world vis-a-vis Russia and China. When, during any activation segment in which military actions can take place, if there are less than 2 rapid capability counters already on the U.S. strategic capabilities track, there aren't any. Cost 1 action, 1 AP, unless your Secretary of Defense's military rating is 2, in which case no AP required. Unfortunately, it's only 1, so that's gross, but is what it is. Place a rapid capabilities DARPA counter on 1 strategic capability track. You may not place it on a track that already has a rapid capability counter on it. You will resolve rapid capability attempts during the next special activation phase, the improved strategic capabilities segment. So let's get a DARPA counter. And we are going to put that on our cyber warfare track. So that will basically give us a free strategic capability roll right there. Alright, so now we have 4 diplomatic or military actions. We are, as always, going to try to remove influence. Do we want to remove the Russian influence or the Chinese influence? Let's go with... that's a hard case. We will get more over here, so let's go with China. Yeah, I think that's where we're going to go. So that's going to be a diplomatic master action. We have no DRMs, and we need a 1 through 6. 1 through 6. Nice. So that is successful. God damn it. There we go. Okay. So now we have 3 more actions left. Let's go ahead. I like this action that is use military professionals to treat disease, build schools and clinics, and create other infrastructure in a war-torn region. It's one of the few ways I've found that we can remove U.S. military footprints, so let's go ahead and try that. Has to be done in a spot with a civil war or a current ongoing war, which is that one. So let's go ahead and do that. So it is 1 action. May only be taking place in regions with a war or civil war. Roll a d10. Our DRMs are +1 if China, Russia influence counter in the region. There is -1 Secretary of Defense military rating. So it's going to be a net of 0, so we're just going to roll a d10. 3. Place a trending pro-US counter in the region, or receive a new UN goodwill counter. Let's go ahead and place a trending pro-US counter. And -1 to regional crises in the region. That's going to be good because after the war goes off, it's going to raise regional crisis also. If regional crisis is already at 0, remove a military footprint counter. And you cannot do that. So that was an action. We have 2 left. What else do we want to do? We could make a... Oh, I know. Why don't we attack some terror groups? Let's see. What other diplomatic actions can we do before we start doing that? Attempt to improve regional alignment. We could start... We could make a speech to the UN and possibly increase some people's liking of us, which would be nice. That would allow us to start removing some influence over here. But I think we need to get rid of some terror groups first. So let's go ahead and perform a raid. Destroy or diminish terror group can happen during any activation segment in which a military action can take place. Cost 1 action. Procedure. Choose between the following 2 actions. Perform a special operation forces raid on a terror group in a region. Target terror group must be in the target fixed box on the intel track of a region. Roll on. So we are going to do that. We might end up doing an air raid on these 2 also. But let's start with the one we are in. We need the World Charts booklet. We need to go to the Special Forces raid table. Raid can only be launched against a terror group that occupies the target fixed, which is this one currently. DRMs. -1 if there is a U.S. Special Ops and U.S. Intel counter in the region. There is. Right over here. So these two right there. So that is a -1. -1 if there is a focused national intel counter in the region. There is. So we're going to -2. -2 if it is a UK, NATO, or joint ally raid in Eurozone or Eastern Europe. It's not. -2 if it's an Israeli raid. It's not. +2 if target is level 3 or 4. It is. So we got a net of -1. +1 if there is a combined total of 3 plus Russia and or China influence counters or a base in the region. There's only 2, so we don't get it there. So we got a DRM of -1. So we're going to roll a D10 -1, see what the result is. So 6. Success with casualties. Decrease terror group by 1 level. Let's see here. So that'll go to a level 2 terror group. Let's see here. Move terror group to the gathering box on the intel track. -1 public approval. Could have been better. I was hoping for that 1. That would have been nice. So now we've got 2 terror groups there. I think we're going to do airstrikes for this next one. So we've got 1 action left. So yeah, perform raid or strike. So perform up to 2 drone strikes or airstrikes on target terror groups in a region. You may not attack the same terror group twice. The target terror groups can be in either the target fixed or the locating box. Roll on the airstrike drone strike table. So we will do that. We need to start keeping these terror groups in check here. So airstrike, drone strike. So we do have an Air Force token in the area, so we do an airstrike, not a drone strike. So DRMs, -1 if U.S. intel counter is in the region. It is. So we got a -1. -1 if there's a focused national intel counter in the region. There is. So -2 so far. -1 if target terror group is in the target fixed box of the intel track. It's not. +1 if no Air Force unit in the region. We do have an Air Force unit. +1 if there are a combined total of 3 plus Russian and or Chinese influence counters or base in the region. There is not. So we've got a net total of -2 to our DRM. 4 -2 is going to be 2. So strike is effective with no collateral damage. Decrease terror group by 1 level. Move terror group to the gathering box on the intel track. There's also a double asterisk here which says damage and loss airstrike mode. If you use an airstrike, more powerful than a drone strike, A, add 1 to the terror group losses if you got a 1 through 6 result, and B, for an 8+ result on an airstrike, add U.S. aircraft lost, pilot missing. So if we roll bad, basically we lose our pilot and bad stuff happens. But we got the 1 through 6 result, so we add 1 to the terror group losses. So we will lower it by 2 levels, which destroys the whole terror group. Nice. So we get a second one. So when we do airstrikes, we get to choose 2 different terror groups to do that on. We will choose this other one. So again, a -2 DRM. 2 -2 is going to be 0, so 1 or less. Surgical strike kills key terror leaders. Survivors scatter. Decrease terror group by 1 level. +1 public approval if target is level 1 or 2, +2 public approval if target is level 3 or 4. Move terror group to the gathering box on the intel track, and this was an air raid, so we get to increase that damage by 1, so we lower it by 2, which will destroy the terror group, and we get +1 public approval for that. Nice. That was a good one. All right. That worked out well. That was our last action in this segment, so we move down. Where are we at? So that was 4, so we are going to go to phase 4. We're going to draw a crisis chit to start with, which is domestic crisis. So we're going to roll a die and increase the domestic crisis level of whichever region we roll. Which is going to be 8. I think that's Africa, so Africa goes up to 1. And that did have a plus sign, so we are going to draw again. And this is going to be draw 1 crisis card. So heightened tensions in conflict zones. Make 2 D10 rolls to select 2 random conflict status tracks. Increase each of those tracks. It may be the same track twice if rolls so dictate by 1 box. So we will roll and increase the conflict tracks of two times. So first one's going to be 10, so that's going to be US Iran, so that conflict goes up. And 10, that conflict goes up. All right, it did so dictate, so the U.S.-Iranian conflict went up. Might want to lower that. I don't really want a war with Iran. Maybe the same track twice by 1 box. This goes into the reshuffle pile. And that was a plus sign, so we do draw again on the crisis chits. So we get a cascading event from the 2 pile. So flip these over, shuffle a couple times, and we will draw a cascading event. And it was a terror. So we did not lower the terror targets over in Eurozone, so this popped its ugly head out. If there are no terror groups in the Eurozone, ignore this event. Otherwise, increase the highest level Eurozone terror group by 1 level. Place a worsening economy counter on the EU's state of economy track, and +1 to regional crisis in Eurozone. Alright, so their crisis level is going back up again. And did we increase the... Let's see, increase the highest level terror group in the Eurozone, which is level 3, so that is getting scary. Don't like that. And a worsening economy token. Oh, which is, they've already got this one, so that's just going to go away. And then this is going to go, next one is going to be government targets. If there are no terror groups, discard. Otherwise, increase the highest level Eurozone terror group by 1 level, -1 to stability. Damn, alright. And that goes in there. Alright, so it does have a plus sign, but that is the end of the crisis chit chain. So we get to do any 3 actions, and then do a core support check. So we get 3 actions. Again, the first one is going to be to try to remove some influence. Since we can only do that once per segment, I like to do that pretty much every segment. Every segment I can. So attempt to remove a Chinese or Russian influence counter, no DRMs. We need a 1 through 6 in order to do it. We got... Oh, actually, no, I take that back. That's a no roll. Crisis level needs to be at 0 since they are at 6. So... let's do crisis relief. Damn it. We need to do crisis relief over in Eurozone. Let's do crisis relief in Eurozone first and see where we're at. So, -1 diplomatic rating of your Secretary of State, -1 if regional stability is 6 or higher. Stability is 6 or higher, so we're going to have a -2 from our Secretary of State, -1 for regional stability, so we got a D10 -3. Which is going to be 1. 1 or less. Decrease regional crisis in the region by 2 boxes. Very nice. Alright, so that was good. Okay. I do want to get that terror group out of there, though. But let's go ahead and do the crisis here. So stability is not 6 or higher in Eastern Europe. We do still have a -2 for our Secretary of State. So let's do that. That would be 7. No effect. Damn it. I don't... Let's see, this should be a 2. I don't think we have enough APs to really do anything. We've got 1 AP for the next rest of the turn. Yeah. Damn it. Alright. So let's try to remove this Chinese influence over here then. Can we do it over here? No, we can't because it's not 6. Yeah, I think we'll just try to remove this Chinese influence then. We can also remove this Russian influence, but I think we're good with the Chinese influence. Keeping this clear of Chinese influence is always good. So yeah, we'll do that. No DRMs 1 through 6. That's what we're looking for. That is a 2. That is successful. We get rid of that Chinese influence. Nice. There was 3 in there. We have gotten rid of them successfully. I am a fan of that. That is it for that's it for our actions though. Core support check. So what that does is I believe no, that's not it. Yeah, your party relations. So core support is 1. So basically whatever that number is there in your core support, like if you have too high of party relations and too high of public approval, like that will it'll try to get as close to 40 as possible. So if you're below 40, it will increase your public approval. If you're above 40, it will decrease your public approval. So we are going to decrease our public approval by 1 for that core support check. Now we're going to roll a d10 and see if terror or chaos reigns supreme. Let's see what we get. Where's my d10? 6. So that is chaos. Chaos reigns. Let's see here. WT 1 or 2. So we get our world charts. WT 1 and 2. Chaos axe. That's what it landed on, right? 6 chaos. Yeah. Okay. So Chaos Axe. When you roll a Chaos Axe during a Terror Chaos segment of the activation phase 2 or 4, do the following 2 things. Increase the conflict status track for a random conflict by 1 box. If that causes war, set up a new war and make an initial war progress check. I don't think this will result in war anywhere, but 9. Almost moved this up again. Gulf States, Saudi Arabia, and Iran, their conflict track moves up 1. Then just roll a d10 and see what happens. 3. Cabinet issues, -1 box, public approval. Boop. Where was I? Oh yeah, -1 box, public approval, add a worsening counter to the cabinet effectiveness, then roll once on the cabinet drama table and add results. Yeah, that's not good. Cabinet drama table. I think that's in the domestic charts. Cabinet improvement table. Cabinet drama table. Roll d6. Whenever you roll a 6 plus on the cabinet improvement table. Anytime you add new tension counter, because your tension counter in that to exceed 6 when directed to by the crisis card or chart table result. Okay, so roll d10. Doesn't look like there's any DRMs. Or sorry, roll d6. No DRMs. 5. Resignations. Roll a d6. 2. Secretary of State resigns. Oh my god, is that our good one? It is, isn't it? Oh my god damn it. Are you serious? Oh, I hate this. Alright, I would have been fine with... Actually, our Secretary of Defense, I would have been fine with that, but okay. Son of a bitch. Okay, so Secretary of State resigns. Draw 3 new candidate counters and select a replacement. Place a worsening counter on the effectiveness track. -2 public approval, -1 party relations. God damn. Alright, that was terrible. Well then. That was... I'm not happy. I don't believe I put her back in. I don't think she can just get this position again. Alright, so we're going to draw 3 new candidates. We got rid of our experienced one. That sucks. Oh my god. Alright. This is the worst. So they all have 0 for their diplomatic score. Oh my god. Does anyone's experience side have a diplomatic score? No. Alright, this one, Ellen Price at least has an action, or an extra action on her other side. So I'm pretty sure at the end of the turn we're just going to ask this person to resign. Ellen Price, not good for the position, but I guess you got it. For now. That sucks. Wow. I would have been fine with pretty much any other resignation. I would have preferred Secretary of Defense, but wow, that hurts. I have not had that before. All right. Thanks, Chaos. Thanks a lot. Roll once on the counter jump. Yeah, all right. There it goes. See you later. All right. That was Chaos. Oh, that hurt. All right. Okay, over to Ally Rogues, which will be the last one, which will be A. I'm still reeling from that resignation. That's lame. All right, we'll have to. And we've got that worsening counter. That sucks. All right. Gross. So we're at A. Ally Rogue Nation Chart A, Group A. All right. So EU, NATO, South Korea, and Iran will act. And I believe we lost very close relations with NATO, but it's back. Okay. So, these allies act only in their region, except for NATO, who can affect the Eurozone or Eastern Europe. When it is the allies' group's turn to act, first perform European Union procedure and update economic trends and changes. So, World Economic Trend, roll a d10. Two. 1 through 4. Growing economies place economy improving counters on all 4 state of economy tracks. So you get an increasing economy. You get an increasing economy. You get an increasing economy. Everybody gets an increasing economy. 2. Roll a d10 for Eurozone. -1 or 2 DRM if Eurozone stability is 6 or 7, respectively. Stability is 6, so we're going to have a -1. +2 DRM if you are Eurozone stability is less than 5. It's not. Okay, so we're going to get a d10 -1. 2 -1 is 1. Let's see here. 3 or less, Eurozone thrives. Place economy improving counter on Eurozone state of economy track. Nice. So that's going to go up. If state of economy is already 7, +1 to regional stability instead. -1 regional crises. Also good. I think that is it for the EU. So next we are going to activate NATO. So they will get 2 joint actions. Possible joint actions. Intel, NATO gets 2 successes. So we're probably going to do that and work on getting these terror groups out of there. So first, though, I think stability. So they can affect Eurozone or Eastern Europe. Their stability is 6. Their stability is 5. Let's try to increase stability for Eastern Europe. So that's going to be a 1 through 4. Actually, no, I take that back. So since Eurozone is regional crisis is at 0, they get a -1 DRM. Let's go ahead and try Eurozone. So we need a modified roll of 1 through 4, -1 DRM for regional crisis being at 0. So that works. Yeah, we should have done over here. But this works still. What is this doing over here? There we go. Alright. Next, we are going to do Intel. Locate any terror group in the region, place that group on the Gather Intel box, or if they're already there, move it up in the Intel track. NATO gets 2 Intel successes per joint action, which is nice, so we are going to get both of these in there. Alright, and that will be the joint actions. Now we're going to do a unilateral action roll. They have a +1 for their tensions. So -1 if no tension counters. It's not true. +1 for the tension value, which is 1. Current conflict status value on Russia-NATO conflict tract, which is 2. So we got a +3. +1 per every current war, including U.S. forces, which is 1. So we got a +4 net value. So D10 +4. 11. Stand up to Russia. Roll a D10. 4. 1 through 6. Compromise. -1 to Russia NATO conflict track. Or remove 1 Russia influence in Eurozone or Eastern Europe. Oh, that sounds good. Let's do that. Yeah, that's good. I like it. We'll count those in a little bit. But that is it for their action roll. So we're going to flip that back over. Remove tension counters and replace with half rounded down, which is going to be 0. Next, we're going to go to South Korea. South Korea does have some tensions here. I think it might be a good idea to lower those tensions also. First thing, though, stability roll. So we need... Crises are at 0. Oh, no, we have max stability, so we don't need to do that. Never mind. All right, let's remove stress to start with. So we're going to remove 1, 2. Then I think we're going to do intel. Do any regional crisis levels need to be lowered? South America's not that great, but let's go ahead and do intel. Let's go ahead and move that 2-tier group over there. Oh, you know what? They have a -1 AP, so we can't do that. So removing tensions looks like that was our only action. Alright. Now we will do our unilateral action roll. So 2 on there. So +1 per tension value on ROK, which is 2. +1 for every 2 tension counters on North Korea. They have none, so there'll be nothing. +half rounded up for conflict status value on North and South Korea. So that would be an extra 1, so we're going to roll a D10 +3. 8. Join U.S. sanctions. Replace any one unilateral with a multilateral counter. If none, roll again. So we do have a unilateral one over here. We're going to replace that with a multilateral sanction. Nice. And then we are going to flip these over. Oops. Flip these over and replace them with 1 tension counter. Alright, after NATO and ROK activates, activate Iran. Flip over any tension counters and sanction counters on Iran and sum their values. See what we got. So just 1. Roll a d10 and refer to Iran's action chart, applying all listed DRMs, including the sum of tensions. Alright, so we got a 4 max. +1 the net tension and sanction value on Iran, so it's just going to be +1. +2 if Israel is currently at war, they are not. +1 if Middle Eastern regional alignment is currently a 6 or higher, it is not. +3 if Iran is at war, it is not. So it's just going to be a D10 +1. It's not so bad. 3. Sanctuary. Place 1 level 1 terror group in the Middle East and move a 1 level 1 or 2 terror group out of the Middle East intel box. So place a level 1 terror group. And move a level 2 terror group out on the box there. Okay. So they are taking Sanctuary in Iran. That'd be it. I think that did not raise their nuclear track, which is good. So remove all tension counters on Iran and replace with 1/2 the number rounded up that you removed, placed number side down. So put these away, and they will get replaced by 1. Let's see here. Remove all sanction counters on Iran and replace with an identical number and type of that type, which was not anything. All right, then check unstable states. Roll a d10 for each unstable state counter in Central America and South America, which there's one in both. So let's see what we got for those. So first one we will do in Central America. 3. Remove unstable state. Nice. Next one in South America. 6. Keep unstable state on map. Okay. And that will be it for all of the ally rogues activations. Now we're going to do UN actions. Let's see if I can find that. UN actions. Okay. Okay, UN will now act. First thing is one humanitarian aid action. Attempt in the world region with the highest regional crisis value. Resolve ties randomly. So I think that is going to be South America at 2. Yes, that is correct. So, highest regional crisis value is going to be 2 in South America. This represents the world body acting together to alleviate suffering and avert crisis. Resolve humanitarian aid action, roll a d10. If the result is 1 through 8, -1 regional crises in that region. So 1 through 8. Nice. -1 regional crisis. 1 infrastructure aid, attempt in the world region with the lowest current stability. So Central America is at 5, South America is at 5, 4 for Africa. Can anyone beat 4? Doesn't look like it. Oh yeah, Central South Asia is also at 4. So odd for Africa, even for Central South Asia. Central South Asia, so we will do an infrastructure aid there. Actually, that's unfortunate. I wish we could have done Africa because we don't have any allies. So India can actually do stability rolls in Central South Asia, but Africa, very rare to get those stability rolls. We might enact a UN action to try to stabilize Africa. Might not be a bad idea. To resolve in its... Oh yeah, we have very few APs. That sucks. That's fine. Let's see. Low stability, resolve ties. Roll d10 if the result is 1 through 5, +1 to stability. So rolling for Central South Asia, 1 through 5, we get to raise their stability. It's not a 1 through 5. Boo. 1 youth empowerment attempt in the lowest stability region. So again, that's going to be Central South Asia and Africa. Resolve ties. Again, Africa odd. Central South Asian even. Even, so it's going to be Central South Asia. Again, I think I would have preferred Africa. Let's see. Prioritize the region with a level 3 group. After that, choose randomly. Yeah, neither of them had a level 3 group. Oh, that contains a level 2 or 3. Oh, okay, so actually this does not contain any level 2 groups, so it will be Africa. They have 2 level 2 groups. Okay. To resolve a youth empowerment attempt, roll a d10. If the result is 1 through 5, the action is successful. Decrease 1 level 2 or 3 terror group in that region by 1 level. So we need a 1 through 5. That's a 1. Perfect. Alright, so one of these terror groups is going to get decreased to a level 1. Well done. Peace talks and Civil War. Choose 1 Civil War or Civil War ceasefire in the region with the lowest stability. We have a Civil War ceasefire in Africa. Make a broker peace talks for that war, which is going to be over here. So we're going to make 1 for Africa. -1 if UN action. It is -2 if there's a UN regional peacekeeper under there. There isn't. Regional stability is under 5, so it's going to be a +1, so net is 0 so far. There are no Iranian influence counters, so it is going to be D10 with no DRMs. 2. So ceasefire, that should be permanent peace. Yeah, remove civil war and any UN peacekeeper. Decrease regional crisis by 1 box. Nice. Perfect. All right. So I think that is it for regular UN actions. So now we can do US-initiated UN actions. So we'll have to spend an AP, which I think we will spend our last AP on this, and UN counter. So we can do humanitarian. Oh, god damn it! Humanitarian aid, infrastructural aid. So we're probably going to be doing that one in Africa. Youth empowerment programs, sanctions, arms control negotiations. We did that for North Korea, didn't we? They're both. Oh, North Korea's at 1 now. Okay. We could probably lower Iran's. I don't know if that's too necessary right now. De-escalate wouldn't be the worst. Level 3. So these Iranian ones are getting up there. We could probably de-escalate those. We'll see what we get. So first one I think is going to be the infrastructure aid in Africa. So we will spend our UN goodwill to do that. So 2, so we're going to get a -2 DRM. We need a 1 through 5 with a -2 DRM. So roll D10 -2. 6 -2 would be 4. That is 1 through 5. So we get to raise stability in Africa by 1. Nice. Put this in here. All right. So that was an infrastructural aid. What else do we want to do? Humanitarian aids. Decrease regional crisis in a region by 1 box. Nothing is blowing up as far as crises go. Youth empowerment, decrease a level 1 a level 2 or 3 terror group in a single region by 1 level. That might not be bad to help out with this right here, actually. What's that asterisk? Automatic UN action. Oh, automatic UN action. Can't be used in war. Okay. Place Russia influence, place China influence. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Let's go ahead and do a youth empowerment program. For this level 3 region right here. Decrease a level 2 or 3 terror group in a single region by 1 level. So we need a 1 through 5. And the DRM for that. -1 if this is the U.S. requested action that you use the UN goodwill counter to initiate, then revealed value. -1 if the U.S. requested action and you spent. If this is you rolled opinion, I think there's 0 modifier. So it's going to be a -1 because it's a U.S. requested action and you spent 1 AP. Okay, so D10 -1. We need a 1 through 5 modified roll. D10 -1. 9 -1, not going to do it. Boo. Alright. That is it for UN actions then. Now we get domestic actions. Unfortunately, since we used our AP, our last remaining AP, we no longer get to do this. But I think if we... what is it? I think if we spend an action, we get 2 APs. So you can trade an action for 2 APs. We might do that and try to lift bipartisan cooperation. So let's do that. So we're going to get 2 APs here. So that was one action, to gain 2 APs. Next action is going to be to try to raise bipartisan cooperation. Let's see what we got. Let's see here. Might do party fundraising after this too. Let's see here. Where am I looking? Address domestic crisis, lingering domestic issue, encourage bipartisanship. Okay, so 1 action and 1 AP. So we're going to roll a d6. Doesn't look like we have any applicable DRMs. Roll d6. 1. Hey, all right, that works. Move bipartisan, right 1 box. Perfect. We can only do that 1 successful result per activation segment. Now, do we want to party fundraise, which will raise our party relations? Looking kind of low. What do we have? So we have 3 max friends. You know, let's just do that. One action if party relations is currently 3 or less, which it is not. Then it costs an AP, but we just get to, no need to roll, we just get to raise our party relations there. So we'll go ahead and do that. Yeah, I think that's what we will do. So that is it for our 3 domestic actions. We draw a Crisis Chit, which is a cascading event. What we got? Natural disaster. Let's see. Cleanup costs concerns. Place 1 tension counter on POTUS cabinet. Focus 6 through 1. Oh, shit. So we get 1 tension counter on spot 6. You may spend 1 AP if you choose not to or don't have enough APs. Plus 1 domestic crisis. Minus 2 public approval. Fortunately, we have... Oh, we spent 1 to do that. I don't think I remembered to spend it. So we have 1 left, fortunately, from spending that action. That was probably a good move. So spend that 1 AP and choose not to or don't have enough APs. So we did spend it, so we do not get the crisis and minus public approval. It does, though, go into cascading event 3 pile. Alright, and even though it had a plus sign, there aren't any further crisis chit spots, so we do not use that, so war progress. So we are at war. Let's go ahead and resolve that. Now, hopefully, it's possible we can end this war here. We'll see, though. Alright, Civil Wars. Okay, determine strength for U.S. side. So let's go ahead and figure that out. Okay, so there will be... So we're going to count all of our military here. So we got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18, plus 4 is 22, plus 2 is 24, plus another 2 is 26. So we have a total score of 26. They have a strength of 9, so we are beating them 2-1. It was almost 3-1. I wish we could have maybe gotten another point in strength, but so beating them 2-1 currently. So determine DRMs, and then we will make a war roll. So we don't have surprise if U.S. war and U.S. FNI counter is in the region, -1, we do. So it's going to be -1. If U.S., Russia, China, Israel is attacker or defender, -1. So we do have a -1 there because we are in the war. So we got a -2 altogether. If U.S. war and there is a U.S. heavy counter in the region, -1, so we got a -3. If U.S. war and there is a Air Force counter in the region, -1, there is, so we got a total net of -4 currently. If U.S. or ally attacking, defending, and the total Russia-China's combined influence counters in the region is 2 or more, unfortunately that is correct, so we get a +1. So we got a net of -3, so D10 -3 for the war roll. 8 -3 is going to be 5. Let's see here. And we are at a 2-1, no move, both 1 loss. That sucks. Okay. So they have 1 loss. Oops. God damn it. Alright. And I forget what losses count for on the US side. Apply results. Apply. So it didn't move, unfortunately, so we did not win the war. That's unfortunate. We kind of got a bad roll there. Apply loss results to non-US side by decreasing that side's strength by the loss number. For a loss result to the US side, don't reduce any US strength. The game assumes the US replaces losses at a cost in support at home. Instead, when US loss is indicated, there is an immediate -2 public approval. Then make both a relations with media check and a relations with Congress check. If you fail either or both, -1 to that rating. Alright, so relations with Congress, so we need an 8 or less. Fuck. Relations with media, we need a 5 or less. Fuck. Alright. So that sucks. Yeah, alright. Let's see here. Apply regional impact of war. After you apply results, +1 to regional crises in the war's region. Let's see. In the war's region, also place 1 U.S. military footprint counter in that region. Yeah, we got another one. Yeah, so that's turning into a quagmire there. Hopefully next war result we will end that war. Fingers crossed. Let's see here. If the conflict status counter and either is tagged blah blah blah, so no side 1. The war continues. The war progress action is finished. You'll perform this process again. If the U.S. is involved, you may choose to immediately spend 2 APs. I don't have them. To increase military spending for the war effort and to promote public support for the war, +1 to U.S. side strength in the war. If you spend the APs, so we didn't spend them. If you do not spend the APs, -2 public approval. Ugh, our public approval took a huge hit. And place a tension counter on the POTUS cabinet focus, which would be 5 now. Then make a state of economy check. If you fail, place a worsening economy counter on the track. So we need a 7 or lower. Alright, we passed that one, so we do not put a worsening economy counter. Alright, so that sucked. Now, I think we also do something with civil wars. Let's see here. For each current civil war, or civil war ceasefire on the board, make a 1d10 roll on the civil war resolution chart below, applying any applicable DRMs and apply the result. Alright, civil wars and civil war ceasefires. We have a civil war ceasefire in Eastern Europe. So -1 if UN action, it's not. -2, nope. +1 if regional stability is less than 5, it is not. +1 if there's an Iranian influence, is not. So just a D10 roll. 3. That is going to be permanent peace, but nation is fragile. Remove civil war ceasefire counter, and any UN peacekeeper or Iranian influence counters is present. Decrease regional crisis by 1 box. Place an unstable state counter in the region. So nice, not bad. So this unstable state can turn back into a civil war, but it's better than having a civil war there. Alright, so let's see here. Any more civil wars? No civil wars here. No civil wars here. No civil wars here. Alright, I think that was it. So there's not really any civil wars there. Nice. Alright, I think that is the last of that. So we have any 4 diplomatic and or military actions. So we got 4. What do we want to do? That war sucked. Alright, so let's see what we can do. I think we are going to... I don't like these this terror group over here. Let's go ahead and roll... Detect intel gathering ops against 2 different terror groups. Gain intel on terror groups to enable operations and find and target them. Let's see here. Select 2 terror groups. -1 if there's a U.S. intel advisor counter in the region. There's not. -1 if there's a focused national intel. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there's not. -1 if there's a focused national intelligence counter in the region. There's not. So let's roll for the terror group level 3. We need a 1 through 4. That's a 5. That sucks. Failure, no effect. Let's try for this level 1 group. with our second. So this gives us two. Lets us target two groups. So let's target the other one. Although, actually, let's target this one here. Two. That one passes, so that one goes up. And that was a move. Now, let's go ahead and get rid of some Russian or Chinese influence. Let's go ahead and hit that Russian one right here. So we need a 1 through 6. That is a failure. Boo. And we don't have the APs to reroll it. Unfortunate. Alright. Is there, how many groups are in here? Just one. How many groups are in here? Just 2. Do we want to do an air raid? Yeah, let's do an air raid. Before an air raid, perform 2 drone strikes or air raids on target terror groups in a region. You may, it has to be the same region. Let's go ahead and do more intel. So target this 3 group. Or do we want to lower a conflict? Sales, use military. Oh, let's use, yeah. So let's use an action to do the military professionals to treat disease, build schools and clinics, or create infrastructure in war-torn region. Let's do that in Central South Asia. So let's roll. So -1 Secretary of Defense rating, +1 if China or Russia influence counters in the region. It is. So let's go ahead and do the roll here. So it's 0 DRM. We got a 9. No effect. God damn it. So we are not rolling well on these. We can either try that again. We can do some intel gathering again, or we could do a UN speech. What do we have to do over here? So we don't get any more actions. We will get a state of economy impact. Let's try that again. I want to try to get some of that out of there. So let's use military professionals to build schools, clinics, create other infrastructure. That is a good one. All right, so place a trending pro-US counter. Nice, so that ups their liking of us. Let's see, and receive a new UN goodwill counter. There we go. Trending pro-US and receive a UN goodwill counter. Remove 1 US military footprint counter to the region. Nice. If there is none, -1 to regional crises. And that is it for that one. So now we are going to do U.S. State of Economy Impact, which is going to be 2 U.S. economic assistance. So, I think for that we are going to increase our allyship with Japan and also with Gulf states, Saudi Arabia. So let's increase those. Next, so that was that side. Next is this side. So +3 public opinion. 1, 2, 3. +2 APs, which is probably not going to do anything unless we get a crisis card that requires them. So, that's not bad. So we'll have that in our back pocket in case we need it. +1 relationship with Congress. So we will recover that back up. Our media relations took a dive. That's nuts. Cool. I think that is it for that. So I think I'm going to end here, because I need to go to bed. So next time we come back, we'll be ending the turn. So we got a few things we'll need to do to end the turn. And then at the end of the turn, we do consequences, like a consequence sequence, where these military footprints are going to come back to haunt us. We're going to add new military footprints. We probably should have moved this, because we're going to get military footprints in here now too, aren't we? Yeah. It's unavoidable now. Okay. So, yeah, like I said, when we come back, we're going to do some consequences. We're going to check people or regions' stability. We're going to do various things about that. So that's one of the reasons we like to increase stability a lot. At the end of the turn, there will be consequences for low stability. Terror groups will form. Other things will happen. So things like that. We may draw crisis chits. It will depend, and we will also. So yeah, we'll draw a crisis chit here, possibly here, possibly here. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But then once that once that goes off, then we can start a new turn. And it's only taken 3 different streams, but we've gotten through almost a full year of Mr. President. So thank you everyone for watching. Everyone who is currently watching, maybe watching in the future, or watching a rerun of this. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful night, and I will talk to you later.